So we're going to be reading next The Mysterious Tower by Martinez de Lecea Totti from Legends of Skull area. Before that, I forgot to give you guys a proper intro to the story. The story is going to cover slightly one of the most well-known figures of the myths and legends of the Basque territory in Spain. The Basque are quite a weird community in Spain. They live in the north, near France, and their language is actually not romantic or Anglo-Saxon. Has their own origin, and its origin is lost to all the scholars. The language is known, but it's not known from where it comes from. It has its own unique tales, but some of their stories has been over the centuries muddled by Christianity and the dominating religions and cultures in Spain. Some of their figures have been renamed from goddess to witches, for example, and so is our guest, we could say, in tonight's story. Her name is Mary. She's a witch and a goddess, depending on the story. She's either a friend, a maiden in capture, a helpless girl, or a mighty goddess, wielder of powers compared to the sun. She is quite a varied character in Basque myths. Even Mary is her name. Her origin is not from Christianity. One of her main names is Mary Urraca, which has nothing to do with the Christian figure. Like I said, she's either a goddess, descendant of one, or imbued with her power by one way or another. And even though her stories are quite diverse, I chose this one even though she's not the main protagonist, because I felt it was the most cohesive one of all. All of her stories tend to be too short or too lax in the atmosphere. So if we do this type of stream another day in the future, we may cover her properly, like an hour-long segment just for her. So much is her presence in Basque mythology and the amount of stories that talk about her. She married the devil. She brings riches and pain and vengeance. She is amazing, and I will be glad to share more stories of her with you guys in the future. But today, the story is a bit different. So let me start again now with The Mysterious Tower, which I forgot to press to an R on screen. Let's start the story. In the beautiful valley of Aramayona sits the town of Ibarra, known in old times as Salgo, with Amboto Mountain to the north, known as one of Mary's homes, an old goddess of the Basque of old. In the year 1122, great despair spread through the valley. It has been a year since a strange old man named Samuel, who lived in Adursaba at the base of Mount Gasteiz, had appeared in Salgo. He had a long white beard that reached his chest. In his head, he had a black beretta and boots of red velvet on his feet. But what grabbed attention the most was the long robe he wore, from neck to feet, embroidered in gold thread, that glowed brighter than the sun. Every afternoon he will sit next to Goikorota fountain, looking back and forth to the Ispitste mountains. Then he will draw a line on a parchment and leap. Everyone thought that he was building a palace, an enchanted one, or at the summits without the need for workers. After a while, the old man stopped coming to the fountain, but the townsmen of Aramayona found out among the trees the roof tiles of a marvelous castle that no one dared to approach. It was the talk of the old town, but then expected a mysterious tower that suddenly seemed to have popped out of nowhere. But then strange and scarier things started to happen. Every night the people saw lights in the tower lit up at the moment the sun set. But no matter how long they watched the tower, they saw no person either come in or out of it. When summer came, they noticed how at midnight white ghosts started going out from the tower, riding in fast horses, also white, coursing through the forest in the direction of Salgugarai town, to later come back just before dawn. The townspeople were overcome by fear, which only kept on increasing with each passing day, until finally they decided to investigate what was happening at the tower. There were many volunteers, but they decided that the 4 most strong and courageous young men should be the ones to venture into the tower, just in case they went armed with clubs, knives, and hatchets. At sundown, they went out of Salgo in the direction of the tower, hiding in the bushes. The tower windows light up as every night, but even being so close to it, they couldn't see any movement inside. The wait till midnight felt eternal, but at last they heard the bells signaling the time had come. When the last bell stopped, the big castle gate opened and from it half a dozen ghostly riders came out. But they made no sound. Even the horses seemed to glide just above the ground without grazing it with their hooves. When they went past the bushes where the young men were hiding, they felt as if a cold wind hit their faces, taking away with it part of their courage. They waited for a few more minutes, just in case, and then went on to the gate in silence, without uttering a single word. Inside, they passed through many long hallways until arriving at the great hall. And then they were paralyzed by fear. In the middle of the room was a young girl, beautiful, fair, but very, very pale. She was clad in a long golden robe, her hair long and loose and bare of feet. She was surrounded by intense light that lighted the whole hall, and seemingly the rest of the castle as well. When the 4 young men were about to run away in fear, her voice stopped them. "Wait! Don't leave! I'm Mariuraka from the Muntrat's tower. 200 years ago I killed my brother Eruben, and since then I'm cursed to never die. Please, help me. The fear was overcome with surprise, and then pity, cause her voice sounded both sad and sincere. They asked her how they could help her. There were no magicians or priests to be able to lift a curse. I am the light of the spirit that you saw coming out of here. Same as me, they are condemned to ride the night for all eternity. Light the tower, make a bonfire right here, brighter than even my own light. But hurry, because if they come back while you are here, you will be forever bound to this place. The 4 young men were quick to set up firewood using their hatchets, and made a big bonfire in the middle of the hall. In a few minutes, the flames were already reaching the ceiling. Mariuraka smiled at them, starting to fade slowly. Thank you, my friends, thank you! Now I can finally rest. Dawn was arriving, and the young men suddenly found themselves in the middle of the field. The tower was gone, vanished. Only the bonfire was there, still burning. The townspeople of Aramayona never again saw the ghost after that night, and everyone was able to sleep peacefully then after. That's the end of the story. Even though the story may feel a bit abrupt in the end, it's the most fulfilling ending I could find for a Mari-related story. The girl had the name of Mari in the old times, Mariuraka, and we could assume she's some incarnation of the goddess, either in tale or in reality. She doesn't do much, but she mentions a brother killed, which corresponds to other myths of the goddess. The story is quite interesting in many ways. In this translated version, translated by me, I made sure to remove some quite problematic entries that the original legend had. It has some racist implications in some parts that are not okay at all, but subtracting them didn't change much of the story, so I hope you forgive me for making the text a bit more fishy. I hope you might be able to fall asleep with our tales tonight, and that you enjoyed your stay here.